Welcome to Too Honest for Social Media, the podcast that proves local government doesn't have to be boring. I'm Sarah Marion, marketing specialist for the Village of New Lenox, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be the guest host for the man behind the beautiful chaos, New Lenox Mayor Tim Baldermann. For those just discovering the show, Mayor Baldermann has been leading New Lenox since 2007. That's nearly 2 decades of service across multiple terms with re-elections in 2011, 2015, 2019. So clearly the people of New Lenox keep saying yes, and his track record truly speaks for itself. He created this podcast to cut through the political BS and actually explain what's happening in local government with a side of edge and a whole lot of honesty. He's the guy that says what other elected officials are really thinking but won't say out loud. Mayor, you created this podcast called Too Honest for Social Media, while simultaneously being the most outspoken mayors on social media. That's either peak self-awareness or you're just loving to live dangerously.
Well, okay.
So before we dive in, what made you decide the world needed more of your unfiltered thoughts in podcast form?
I don't know that the world does need any more of it, but the way that I function, I did it anyway. I do think it's important as an elected official that you're communicating with your people. I first got on Facebook, quite honestly, because I graduated high school in Australia and I had a lot of friends in Australia, and it was the easiest way to kind of keep up with each other, see pictures and that. So that's really the only reason why I got on Facebook in the very beginning. But then as an elected official, I realized that it was the platform that a lot of people in the community used. They still use now, but that they used to get their information or to ask questions or whatnot. And as an elected official, I have an obligation. I serve people. I'm a public servant. And so I may not be thrilled with the platform, but if that's a way that I can communicate with people, I will. The other thing, the reason I started this podcast is because obviously you can listen to it, you can watch it. It's not one comment and you come back with another comment. So I have a platform here for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, depending on what it is, to really speak honestly with people and tell them, here's what's going on in your town. You were a guest of mine. We talked about your position and what you do. People have a right to know that. They have a right to know what you do. They have a right to know what the finance director is doing in the planning department. And so we can give that to them. But I also know that if it's not interesting, if you're not having some fun, who's going to watch or listen to it? Nobody. I mean, it's some boring shit. I mean, it's like I always say with and poor Don, he, of course he does so much in his town, but he tapes our meetings and are still on local access cable for the people like me that don't know how to stream because I get frustrated. So I still have my $400 cable bill. But I say cable television is a great cure for insomnia. If you can't sleep, watch a board meeting and you'll fall asleep quickly. So we try to keep this a little bit more interesting, but still informational.
Yeah, and that's really a service to the community, truly. So today we're cutting through the fluff and we're getting to the stuff people really want to hear.
Yeah, I don't know if they do, but I guess they're going to hear it, whether they want to hear it or not. But
I really give you props for signing up for that, because I could have came on here and asked you what your favorite, pizza place was and what you love what's your favorite thing about being the mayor. But we're going to really dive into some hard questions, and again, give you props for that, because not many leaders would do that.
I think it's important. I think they should, because quite honestly, I'm a human being, which means I have my flaws and I have my whatever, but I want people, you forgot 2023 when I got reelected as well, but that's okay. When people vote for me, I want them to know who they're really voting for, blemishes and all, as opposed to somebody who just pretends to be somebody for votes. That's not interesting. I am your mayor and this is who I am. And if that's not okay with you, that's okay. Then you have other options.
Absolutely. So I get to ask you all the questions.
Yes, you do.
Real ones, tough ones, personal ones.
Anything you want.
We're going to find out who Tim really is.
Okay, yeah. It's really exciting stuff.
It is. It actually is. I've heard some stories, and I think people are going to be interested to hear as well.
Well, we'll see. Go ahead. What have you got for me?
So let's go way back in time.
A nice dig. Yeah, go ahead.
Tell us a little bit about young Tim Baldermann and the paths he took to get to where he's at today.
I'll tell you what, every generation feels the way that they do. I truly feel fortunate that I grew up at a time that I did. In the 60s and 70s as a child. I remember, all the neighbors sat out in front in the lawn chairs, and we would play wiffle ball out in front, and we would ride our bicycles following the mosquito. I don't even know about this, but there used to be mosquito abatement machines. Yeah. And it was DDT that we were riding into. It smelled good. So as a little kid, you're riding your bike into the fog, following the mosquito machine around, inhaling dioxins because they didn't know, it wasn't until later on. But it was really, as a child, it was an innocent time to grow up because there was no internet. There were no cell phones. There was no nothing. And so... I was the kid on Sunday after church. It was my job to run the corner and buy the Sunday paper and bring it home. And so I had a paper route when I was a kid. My paper route, unfortunately, had a lot of apartment buildings on Pulaski Avenue, and I had to go collect the money. So I'm going up and down 3 flights of stairs. And you were lucky if you got a quarter tip every month from that. Yeah. But I had a great childhood. When I was born, it was my older brother, my older sister, and me. And then when we were little, unfortunately, my older sister passed away from pneumonia, which, shows you the advancements since then. And after she had died, my parents had 2 more children, another girl and then another boy. And so the 4 of us grew up there, in Evergreen Park and on the south side. And I was an altar boy, and I was going to be a priest one day. A priest, a policeman, or a politician. And I ended up doing 2 of the 3. Thank God, only 2 of the 3. But I did. I had a wonderful, wonderful childhood. So, going to school there and then going to Mariston, Chicago. Real quickly, I didn't care for school. It wasn't. I didn't like it. Could not stand geometry class. So there was a brother Alexis that was visiting from Sydney, Australia at Marist High School, and they said, "Is there anyone here interested in Australia?" And I was not, but I wanted to get out of geometry class. So I said, "Oh yeah, I want to go talk to brother Alexis." So he said, "Oh, you're interested in Australia?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, if you want to come to school here, you can write this headmaster, brother Robert O'Connor," because there was no email. Yeah. And so I wrote him just because I am who I am. He's like, "Yeah, if you want to come down here, I've talked to a couple families, they'll take you in." So my senior year of high school, I was 17 years old. I hopped on a plane by myself and flew to Australia and graduated high school down there, and have wonderful friends that are like family to me. Actually, my daughter lives there now. She married my best friend's cousin, and I've been there many, many times and still, of course, communicate fondly with them. So that was a quick brush over my childhood, but I think of it really, really very fondly.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So those of us that are close to you know that you're neurodivergent.
Yeah.
How has this impacted your life and made you who you are today?
It's impacted my life greatly. It again, when you're a child in the 60s and the 70s, and unfortunately, you have an older brother and a younger sister that are on the honor roll, and and here's this kid that's getting smacked around because corporal punishment was still allowed, and in schools, and couldn't focus, and had social issues that I would deal with, but nobody knew what it was, and so it made for a difficult childhood for me personally speaking, in that I kind of felt out of place. So I had to teach myself coping skills, and there's things you do to mask to try and fit in, and teach yourself coping skills. But as I got older, still not even really understanding what it meant to be neurodivergent and the issues that I dealt with, that I still deal with. I got to a point where because of the ASD portion of that, not the ADHD portion of that, I ended up not caring. I just said, this is who I am. I know I speak very bluntly. I do what I do. But professionally speaking, it's been a blessing for me. It's allowed me to problem solve in a different way. When your brain's wired a different way, you can problem solve in a different way and be very direct and very honest. And not everybody appreciates that, but they know where you stand. And so from a professional standpoint, as a police officer, retiring as a police chief, as a school superintendent, as a mayor, having this has kind of been a superpower for me professionally.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah. Now, I will tell you, in school, it was tough. For example, being able to calculate math in my head, but not being able to write down on paper how I got there. You were accused of copying off someone's paper. And that was frustrating. And not wanting to go to a birthday party. I remember going to a birthday party at my friend's house, and then we were going to go to the bowling alley. And so I hid in the house until they all left. And then they left without me because I guess it was, 1973 and nobody cared. They didn't think you got abducted. So then I just walked home, So it was very challenging for me. And now today, as an adult, you have been with me in some social settings, professional social gatherings. It's tough. My poor assistant is not allowed to leave my side. I did the last event that you were at me with. She asked if she could go do something. She did, and then two people came and cornered me. And I'm like, "Where are you?" So it makes it difficult personally. I've been operating on 4 hours of sleep my whole life because you can't turn your brain off. But professionally, I've had an incredibly successful career because not only can I do these things problem-solving wise and solution-wise, but I also have learned to surround myself with some amazing people, and they buy in to the vision in every one of my careers. And when you surround yourself with great people like that, and you're very blunt and you can articulate your vision, it's been a wonderful thing for me, professionally speaking.
Yeah, and like you said, it's your superpower. And a lot of us, we all have, areas where we struggle, and you're doing it right, focusing on your strengths and really capitalizing on those. Yeah. And that's why you've gone so far. You're not being held back by things that you think could hold you back. You use your tools, you use the people around you,
right, and
you succeed.
That's been great. Personally, like I said, I know, all kidding aside, it was difficult for my father in particular, who I had a great childhood. I'm fortunate. My parents are both still here. He's an amazing man, but he had a very difficult childhood, and so he ran a strict household. I had to pay for my high school tuition back then, so I started working when I was 12, and not because we really didn't have a lot of money, but because he wanted to teach me a work ethic and all these things. But I know it was tough for him because he had these 3 other children that were just exceeding everywhere they went. Yeah. And here's the kid that's in trouble all the time. But he never loved me any less. He never treated me any differently. Yeah. We had a weeping willow tree in our backyard. I got to switch pretty often. He'd clear the thing, but that's what happened then. But he was just a wonderful father. And but it was tough in school. But so here I am. Yeah. It's I've made it work for me.
Yeah, and we've come a long way since then within the schools, and parents are understanding more, the tools that they need to give their children, and so thankfully we have come a long way.
Yeah, it's helped me. From your time in special education, it's helped me as a school superintendent for sure.
Oh my gosh!
And really, it helped me with empathy. If we get into my police career, I always was the one who made notification on deaths, whether it was a murder or a suicide or whatever it was. But empathy and directness with people, so I acknowledge who I am, and for the people that sometimes maybe are offended because I'm blunt and there's no intended, most of the time it's not intended to upset anybody, but we are all who we are. We all have, like you said, our strengths and our challenges, and I accept mine, and I love it.
And one last thing on that, there's a difference between blunt and cruel.
Yeah.
And clear as kind. So I think leaning on that perspective.
Well, I appreciate that. And again, when I am blunt with people, most often it's just about what I want to see and what I want to do, and what it's not. Yeah, it's certainly not. intended. I guess sometimes there are things that I say. I mean, the other day, I'll just tell you quickly, my wife and I were getting a cup of coffee, and there was a woman working, and she had on the back of her sweatpants, it was like bedazzled. And I don't know, it said juicy or whatever the hell I don't know what the fuck it said, you know. And I said, does that hurt when you sit down? I mean, you feel that? And well, that's my wife. It's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Why would you put rhinestones on your ass?
Yeah.
And don't you feel it when you sit down?
Did she respond?
Yeah, she said, no, it doesn't hurt. And I'm like, okay.
So she didn't think anything of it.
No, I wasn't mean. I didn't say you look stupid. Or, I just had a question. I just asked her, and so
love it.
Yeah. So it was difficult, I'm sure, on my father. Now he just kind of laughs at me, and it's been difficult on my family. Certainly earlier on, before I really had a better understanding. But I've been supported and fortunate to be surrounded by loving family and friends my whole life. So it's been great for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah.
All right. Switching gears a little bit. The moment of decision. What made you decide to run for mayor back in 2007?
Yeah.
Was there a specific moment, like an issue that arose, or was it kind of like a slow burn that you just kind of started feeling like you were called to being mayor?
No, I was a village trustee from 2001 to 2005. Our grade school district was having a difficult time financially. They had attempted a couple referendum and were not able to pass it, and they were struggling. And I thought I could better serve the community running for the school board. And people said, oh, you're taking a step back. And I said, how am I taking a step back? It's, at that time, a $60 million budget, 600 employees. It's the largest employer at that time in the community. And they need support, and I'm here to give support. So I went over there, and I was elected to the school board and appointed by the board as the president. And we were able to turn that around financially without a referendum, without a tax rate increase, as well as adding some other things. That's part of that problem solving, be able to work that through. Excuse me. The mayor at that time was Mike Smith, and he was going to be challenged by one of our board members, and one of the board members asked me to run, and I said, nah. He had some issues, and I said, nah, I'm not going to kick him when he's down. I said, no, I'm not going to run. So she decided to run, and then someone else decided to run. It was the two of them were going to run for mayor. And a lot of people from the community, both residentially and from the business side, had said, hey, we really think you're the best candidate for this. So I went back to the woman, great person, great trustee. And I said, hey, you asked me to run. I said, no, now you're running, but people are asking me. I said, I'll only run if you're okay with it. And she said, no, I'm absolutely okay with it. So she did. We ended up, the other guy dropped out. We ended up being opponents. But I had and still have tremendous respect for her. And so after I was elected mayor, I appointed her deputy mayor because she was still on the board. And she served our community for many, many years. Annette Bowden, just a great person, served our community for many, many years until she moved out of state. Yeah. And I still stay in touch with her now. And it's so it wasn't really, I had a burning desire to serve. Everything I've done, police, schools, the village, is a burning desire to serve. But I didn't say I've got to be the mayor right now. It just kind of, those were the circumstances.
Yeah, it just kind of happened. So once you got into being mayor back in 2007, what surprised you most about the job?
Well, having worked as a police chief and worked very, very closely with my mayor in Chicago Ridge, Gene Siegel, he was a really good mayor. The thing that probably surprised me the most, there are huge, huge differences between Cook County and Will County, and huge differences in attitudes of staff. And I will say, as much as I loved my time in Cook County, and there are some great employees in Cook County and some great, Will County does it better. It really does. And so that was making that transition because, for example, in where I came from, the mayor would say, hey, promote this guy to detective and do this, and that's not really their job, and when the mayor asked me to be police chief in Chicago Ridge, I said, under one condition, stay out of my department. You don't know anything about it. I respect you in your position and you appoint me, but You don't be calling me and say, hey, your buddy needs to be made detective. That's not going to happen. So out here, we're able to run things the way that it should be run. And even though I have vast police experience in a community that had a lot of crime and other things, I've always let the police chief do their job. And call me if you need advice, call me if you have a question. But I really have the ability as the mayor here to just hire the right people and let them do what they do. I was a police chief, but I'm not a marketing specialist. I'm not a planner. I'm not an engineer. And so it was really kind of refreshing to just have really great professionals be able to serve the community and not be puppet strings.
Yeah.
So it was great.
And we were talking a little bit about this before we started, but I was kind of asking, what is the difference between, there's some communities that have a mayor that's full-time,
Right.
they're there 40 plus hours a week, and then there's, mayors that aren't that.
Well, there are full-time mayors that are putting in 10 hours a week, and there are part-time mayors that are putting in 50. So the difference there is the pay. But really, what it really boils down to, it's not the size of the community. The community makes that decision. But what it really boils down to is communities that have part-time mayors typically have village administrators or city managers.
Okay.
And there's a big difference between a village administrator and a city manager. And before Kurt retires, I'm going to get him on here. But the village administrator's job is to, it works for the mayor and the board, and is to make sure that the vision of the mayor and the board is implemented.
Sure.
But the mayor does the hiring of all the department heads, the appointing of all the departments. A city manager is the one who hires the department heads and hires and fires the staff and that sort of thing. The difference between part-time and full-time is when you have a full-time mayor, unless, of course, you're in the city of Chicago, when you have a full-time mayor, you typically don't have a manager or an administrator. The mayor acts as both.
Got it.
Now, I really believe if I would have gone to the community over these last 19 years and said, I want to be a full-time mayor, I think we could have got the support for that because I am basically putting in all the hours anyway.
Yeah.
But there's a problem with having a full-time mayor and not having a manager and an administrator. And that is that the politician then is in charge directly of all of the employees. And if you have the wrong politician, and where I came from, and no disrespect to Gene Siegel, but from Cook County, often they had employees doing things that were politically driven as opposed to what is in the best interest of the community.
Yeah.
And so I don't want that. I think there should be a buffer.
Sure.
There should be, ultimately as the mayor, I'm a decision maker and I work with the board, but there should be a non-political person that staff talks to on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so I would not support changing this to be a full-time mayor's job, despite the hours I put in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you work
For
a
that
lot of
reason.
hours
I do.
for a salary that is.
For $18,000.
Yeah, and you donate it. So.
Well, and the funny thing is, the previous mayor had wanted the salary to be increased to $100,000. And with the time he was putting in and what was happening in town, the board at that time said, no, but we'll go 50 or 60, which would have been fine. But he didn't want that. Then this back and forth ensued, and one thing led to another, and he ended up leaving. So I came in at $18,000 because you can't change a salary unless it's before an election.
Okay.
And then what happens right after I get elected? We go into a national recession. So, all right. So now you get to 2011. How do you ask for the salary to be raised when you're coming out of recession? People are earning. So I'm like, it's okay. I'm not in for the money anyway.
Yeah.
Who cares? And then it just went like that. So, yeah, it's for the amount of work we do here and for what's happening in town, whether I donate it or not, which I do. But I mean, $18,000 is not a lot of money.
I mean, you've donated your time immensely. How many years? 20?
25 years I've been an elected official in this community. 19 as mayor, almost 20 as mayor. But the thing is, I love it.
Yeah.
And as I'm sure you're going to get into, I've made plenty of money in my other professions. So I don't need the money.
Yeah.
I do it because I live in this town. I've raised my kids in this town. I've got grandkids living in this town.
Yeah.
I want this town to be all it can be. And I can't not be involved and then bitch about it from the sidelines.
Yeah.
So that's why I do what I do.
It's awesome. All right, we're going on to the tough stuff.
I don't know. Oh, shit. You have me exposing myself personally. If it gets tougher than that, go ahead. Go ahead.
You have held a wide variety of positions. You just said police chief, school superintendent, and now mayor for nearly 18 years. So from the outside, these are completely different roles.
Yeah, completely, yes.
So some people might say you've jumped around a lot. So what's the through line?
Yeah, no, I mean, clearly I haven't jumped around. I did 22 years in law enforcement. And I held every position in the department: patrolman, corporal, sergeant, detective, sergeant, commander, deputy chief, and chief. I worked my way up the ladder. I worked hard. I was fortunate again, not all on my own, working with good people, but I'm a 2-time International Narcotics Award winner, a domestic violence prevention winner. I'm a graduate of the FBI National Academy out of Quantico and Northwestern University Staff and Command. So I worked hard for what I had. I had gone back to school. Because I knew, even no matter how long my career lasted, and it was 22 years, I was going to be too young to do nothing. So I went back to school to get my superintendent's endorsement. I was the only person to go through this alternative certification program that wasn't in the schools. But because of my leadership background, and I had taught college classes, I taught criminal justice classes at a couple different colleges. I was able to get into this program and get my superintendent's endorsement. So when my police career ended, I was hired at Union School, and I've held that position for 14 years, and I'm retiring at the end of this year. So I've had these 3 remarkable careers, but I've had longevity in all of them. 22 years in one, almost 20 years now as mayor, 14 years as a school superintendent. So, and what they really have to do with each other is leadership. When I was hired as school superintendent, there were a lot of people who scoffed at that. What does this guy know about running a school?
Sure.
Well, it turns out I knew a lot about leadership of running a school, but I didn't know the first thing about what mattered most, and that was educating kids. So what I did was surrounded myself with the people who know how to educate kids. And I said, as the superintendent, I'm not going to tell you how to teach. I'm here to support you and empower you to do best for kids. And I took over a school district that was on a financial watch list, had $6 million in debt, and was ranked in the bottom 10% of all schools in Illinois. And now we are the only truly free public education in the state of Illinois. And each ranking has us in the top 1% of all elementary schools in the United States for the last couple of years. Now, is that me? Well, it's my leadership, but it's my recognition that if you surround yourself with the right people, if you empower them, if you empower the kids, we do things so much differently at our school. Yeah. It's so unique. These kids know we love them and we care about them. Their families know we love them and we care about them. Before you pick up a textbook, if those kids don't trust you, if they don't think you really have their back, they're not going to work for you. So now my kids work for me at that school. And they come up to me when they do something they shouldn't do. Sorry, Mr. Baldermann. I mean, but because they don't want to disappoint you.
Right.
Because they're your kids. Yeah. And those are my kids. And I have, again, over there, like here and at the police department, an amazing staff of teachers and other support staff. And great families and kids, and I love them.
Yeah.
And I'm only retiring because I'm going to be 60 years old, and I've been doing this. Said I started at 12. My Social Security, back then you could, is when I'm a little kid. At 13, I started contributing. So I want to keep doing what I'm doing here in the village, but I need to just slow down a little bit.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
Before we lead into the next question, what are your plans after retirement?
Yeah, right. Well, as you said, this is a full-time job for me. I mean, this is 7-day a week. My school's been great. I'm at the school every day, all day. But then I come over here to the village and I do things at night. I do things on the weekend. We have so much happening here in New Lenox, so many great things happening here in New Lenox, hence your position, that this will be just my only full-time job. As opposed to always having 2 full-time jobs, I will have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean by pay or anything else, or eliminating someone else's position. It's just I can fully commit to doing that. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. I really am. Until the people tell me to get the hell out of here. And then I don't know what I'm going to do. Then whoever the next mayor is going to have me on a podcast and say, okay, idiot, what are you doing now?
Well,
that you don't got nothing. But
you can go on vacation and enjoy your free time too.
I do. I one thing I learned from the younger generations is there does have to be some sort of work-life balance.
Yes.
I never had that. I've always worked my whole life, took care of my kids, coached all of them in sports, but not that I never went on vacation and had fun, but even when I was on vacation, I was working. Yeah. So you need to. I still think some people are a little too far. Life and a little work, but you still you need. I just need to bounce it off.
It'll just be an adjustment for you, but it'll be a good adjustment.
To it, 100%.
Yeah, good 100%, for you. Well deserved.
All right, thank you.
All right, so let's talk about some big moves you've made.
Yeah.
You've made some major gambles as mayor.
Yeah.
Bringing Silver Cross Hospital here.
Yes.
Kids Work Children's Museum. And most recently, a $70 million 31 field sports complex. Yeah. Have you gotten any pushback on any of these?
You know, I have found that one thing I like to pride myself on is being transparent. And the people are smart. If you explain something to them, they'll get it. They'll also get it if you're full of shit. And so with everything that I have done in any of my careers, but certainly you're talking about my time as mayor, I've said, hey, here's what it is. Here's why we're doing it. Another thing that's really big that's not as sexy as the projects that you mentioned, but we're building $100 and some million wastewater treatment plant, and we're putting 40 million into a redundant water line. So I have said to the people many years ago, hey, listen, we need these things. They're at capacity. I'm going to have to increase your water bills 5% every year. We're going to have to do this. People don't like it. They don't like that their water bills go up. They don't like how high their water is, although if they check in other communities, they'll see we're really not that. But we are a growing town, and I have always found, no matter what it was, whether it was testifying as a police officer on the stand, or if you're just honest and you're just direct and you just tell people, that's all they want. People don't want to be bullshitted.
Right.
And that is rare for an elected official, for a politician. But the reason that I do it is because I love doing this job, but it's not what defines me.
Yeah.
So I would rather just be honest and say, I'm your mayor, this is what I do. You like it? Vote for me. You don't like it? Don't vote for me. As opposed to bullshit them. One thing that many things my father taught me, but one of them was, be honest with people. It's better that they're upset with you because they don't like what you have to say, but they trust you, as opposed to you lie to them and they love you until they find out you're full of shit and they never trust you again. And so this is it. This is what I do. At the end of the day, when this career is over for me, no matter, even though I'm the longest serving mayor in New Lenox and currently in Will County, 10 minutes after I'm gone, nobody will remember you. And that's okay, because you don't do it for that. Yeah. And so I don't need to be the mayor. I like to be the mayor because I love my town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. So you've been knocked for having a big pension.
Sure.
Can you shed some light on that? And what do you want people to really understand about it?
You are going for the jugular. I got more than one pension, at least I will. So at the police department, first of all, something that people don't understand. Police department pensions are paid by that municipality. They're different than teacher pensions or IMRF, like village employees, that sort of thing. They're paid exclusively, excuse me, by that municipality. So my police pension is paid for by the people and the businesses of Chicago Ridge. Because I've had people say to me, oh, I'm paying your police. No, you're not. No one in the state of Illinois outside of Chicago Ridge is paying for my police pension. So we had a work agreement in place, me and the deputy chiefs. Two of my deputy chiefs retired in 2006 with that work agreement. Not a word was said. In 2010, I ended up retiring with another deputy chief. And there were some shady characters that were over there, and I would never play ball with the nonsense they want to play ball with. So this was their opportunity on my way out the door to kind of go after me for my pension, even though it was the same pension that the two deputy chiefs 4 years before me got. And so this was their way. What happened was, as you know, as a mayor, I'm involved in everything. Well, as a police chief, I was involved in everything.
Sure.
I went to every suspicious death. I went to, whether it was a murder, a suicide, didn't matter. I went out on every narcotics raid because I had done narcotics for years as a detective. So we had a suspicious death of a 19-year-old girl who had died, and we were removing her. Me and one of my officers were removing her body from the second floor, and the best way to get out from where she was in this upstairs apartment, was to go out the door onto the deck, walk down the stairs to the deck, make a turn, walk down the other stairs. So I'm holding the stretcher, her body,
Sure.
Walking backwards. And when I made that turn, I screwed my back up. And so I thought, okay, it really hurt, but I thought I pulled a muscle really bad. And because I was the chief of police and I didn't have to put on a gun belt and drive in a squad car every day, I figured I could still come to work. I could sit behind a desk,
Sure.
and who cares,
Yeah.
Well, as time went on, my right leg started going numb. So when I went, had an MRI, turned out that I'd blown some discs in my back, and so they performed the surgery. I had back fusion. The disc was broken off at that point, laying on my nerves, and so what happened was they had to fuse my back because the chief of police is an appointed position, and I was only 44 years old. I'd done 22 plus years. They kind of insisted that I go off on disability because with the police, you cannot collect a pension until you're 50. You have to have 20 years. You have to have 20 years of service and be 50 years of age. Well, I had the 22 years of service because I got hired real young, but I wasn't 50.
Sure.
And they said, well, if the mayor or the next mayor decides you're no longer the chief, what ends up happening is you go back to your last civil service rank, which would have been sergeant.
Okay.
Well, at that point, I couldn't do it because I could not, with my back, be in a squad car and
Sure.
be carrying that and be out there lifting bodies and doing, whatever the case may be. And so I was kind of in this quandary. They said, look, you have to either go now, or if you roll the dice in the next 6 years, you're no longer in this position, then you're just out. And I'm raising a family. Yeah. So, I wasn't ruled disabled from life. It was just I could not serve in a patrol capacity, which was still a possibility for me. If I was 50 years old when that happened, I would have just wrote it out, and if something ever happened where they wanted me to leave the position, I would have just retired then.
Sure.
But I was not in a position where I could do that. So, pensions are a big thing in the state of Illinois, as they rightfully should be.
Right.
But it's not the people who are collecting pensions that are the problem. It's the state legislators that pass these pensions.
Sure.
Everyone wants to take it on, I busted my ass for 22 years as a police officer. Obviously, as the chief of police, I was out there 3 a.m. doing things, so leading by example with my people. But the state of Illinois, what happened was police officers and firefighters and teachers were always paid very poorly, so you had these great retirement benefits. Well, then as they expected us to become more professionals, they started paying us as professionals, but they never diminished the pension. That's when they should have said, because when I started as a full-time police officer in 1988, I was making $10.40 an hour. Okay? So I was making $20,000 a year, $22,000 a year. But as they started paying us more, they should have said, hey, now we got to take something back on the back end. But, those groups donate to politicians. Politicians didn't want to diminish pensions. And now you have this system that's it's unsustainable.
Sure.
It's unsustainable. Yeah. So don't hate the player, hate the game. I mean, I earned and in Chicago Ridge, not only did I 10% of my check go to my pension, but we were one of only 4 communities. Ironically, New Lenox is one of the other ones that also paid into Social Security. So I paid into Social Security, and here I am trying to raise young kids, and I'm making 20 grand a year and working 3 jobs,
Right.
doing moonlighting security and everything. I was serving subpoenas at Cabrini Green and Cabrini Green and the Robert Taylor homes
Sure.
at 2:00 in the morning after I got off the afternoon shift for $25 a subpoena just to try and feed my family. So, so that's the story of that. And of course, when I went into the schools, you don't have an option to not be in a pension. You must be in it. You must contribute to it. And so that's it. So pensions are a real problem in the state. They're bankrupting municipalities. It's making it really hard. But it's poor legislation in Springfield. It's not the policeman or the fireman or the teacher that should be to blame. It's the laws that are passed.
That's a very good point.
So you take some shit for that, and that's okay. I know what I did. I know I earned every penny I've ever made, and if people are a little envious of it or they're mad at the system and they got to take it out on me, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care. I got thick skin, big shoulders, and a brain that makes me not care.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go.
It doesn't matter what anyone thinks.
That's right.
And that is a good segue because it's been known that you've explored going further in your political career, and you kind of mentioned the legislators make these decisions and things need to change. You ran for Congress and actually won the seat, and then the primary, and you explored a state rep run a few years ago.
Yeah, I did.
Do you have any aspirations to do something similar as you are approaching retirement?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had aspirations to go further. Unfortunately, we live in a system, we work in a political system that's not advantageous for somebody like me. I don't drink the Kool-Aid of either side. And so in 2007, after I'd been elected mayor, Jerry Weller was vacating his congressional seat in the Republican Party. He asked me to run, and I said under a couple conditions. I said, number one, I get to be me. I get to say what I want to say because you people are out of touch. And number two, because I was still at the police department at that time, I was the mayor and I was a police chief, I said, I cannot do all 3 of these things in a general election. I can do it through a primary. And they said, okay, if you win the primary, and it was a 3-person primary, and I ended up winning every precinct, but if you win the primary, we have consulting jobs for you that will pay the same as you're making as chief of police, but your hours will be more flexible, so you can earn your money, but you can do it at different times, and you can campaign and do everything else. Well, I did. I won the primary. And I said, okay, now we're getting into this general election. I would be shorting my responsibilities as a police chief if I kept running, so I need to retire. And, we don't have those jobs that we promised you, but our advice is you're going to win the seat because it's always been a Republican seat. They only lost at that time. And it went back to being a Republican seat. So we don't have those jobs. So why don't you take a home equity loan out to pay your bills into November when you get elected? You're going to win, and then you'll be set. And I said, are you out of your mind? I've got 5 kids that are 18 and younger, and you want me to quit a secure job, take a home equity loan out to pay my bills on the hope that I win this election, and if I don't, then what? I said, you lied to me. I said, I expect to be lied to in politics, but not when it affects my family. And the other thing that happened was I was asked a question by one of the major newspapers, had I ever voted for a Democrat? And I said, yeah, I have. And I'm sure I'll vote for another one in the future because I vote for who the best candidate is, And of course, I got a call from Washington saying, you cannot say that. You have to do, and that it wasn't even as toxic as it is now.
Wow.
But they said, you can't say that. I said, you people are out of touch. And they also wanted, I didn't have any wealthy friends. I was a cop. So they wanted my Christmas card list so they could hit everybody up because you could donate $2,300 a person. We want your Christmas card list. We're going to ask your best friend and his wife to give $4,600. I go, are you out of your mind? And I said that when I got interviewed by the newspaper. Again, the bluntness that I can't control. And I said, I'm not giving you that. These are hardworking people. I said, you want me for this seat? You pay for it. Well, they wouldn't. And I told them to get lost. They said, what are you going to do, drop out? I said, read the newspaper tomorrow. And I did. And so it was twice. It ended up being twice that I got brought down this road, And I'm not a political person.
Yeah.
I'm a public servant. I've always been a public servant. I'm not a fan of politics. The reality is what I do in the voting booth is my business. But I don't look at people by their party identity. I couldn't give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
I really couldn't. And so when you look at some social issues, I tend to be on one side of the spectrum. When you look at conservative fiscal responsibility, I'm on the other side of the spectrum. And so there really isn't a home for me. But as a mayor, it's nice because I represent everybody. I couldn't give a rat's ass if they're Republican, Democrat. I don't care what they are. My job is to represent them, and I like that.
Yeah.
And it would be really tough for me, being honest, to serve either party and just vote the way that party wants. It's not who I am, so I would be horrible in that spot.
Well, and at the end of the day, then you're not representing all the people. And as a public servant, that's your job.
Right. As opposed to representing an ideology.
Correct.
And we see where that's getting us in the world today. And so, no, yes, I will always have aspirations, I'm sure, till my last breath, because I do believe I have a lot to offer. And I have people constantly. You were just with me the other day when somebody from the media said, boy, why don't you run for governor? Yeah. And I said, well, number one, I'm not a billionaire. And number two, I don't have a platform that everybody can embrace. And so but I love doing what I do. And so if this is my ceiling because of who I am as a person, I love being where I'm at.
Yeah. I love that. So do you have any regrets, decisions that you wish you could go back and change? I mean, we all have regrets, but.
Well, honestly, I don't, I think about that stupid movie. What was that? Were the Millers? No regrets. Yeah. Not even one single letter.
Yeah.
Here's what I would say. I don't know whether I have regrets or not, but I know I've made a lot of mistakes.
Okay.
And it's made me who I am.
Yeah.
So certainly, like I said, I am human, and I have said the wrong thing from time to time. I have done the wrong thing from time to time. Overall, I'm happy with who I am and how I do things, whether it's leading the village or a school or the police department. But yeah, I'm sure there are people, and I'm not making excuses because I am who I am, and I'm responsible for my actions regardless of that. And so I'm sure there are people that I've upset or hurt or whatever, and so I never would feel good about that. But no, I think as far as my leadership goes, I'm really happy with the overwhelming majority of the decisions that we've made. So, I'm human. I've got plenty of blemishes, but I'm pretty good with who I am.
Yeah. Have you ever had? Well, I guess you have. What has been your toughest decision as mayor? Would you say something that really kept you up at night?
Everything keeps me up at night.
Yeah,
I can't
4
sleep.
hours.
Yeah, I can't sleep. There of course have been people that we've had to terminate. And I don't lose sleep over it because we would never terminate somebody unless they really had it coming. It was in the best interest of the community, but you still don't take pleasure in that. There are times when there are people who need support and assistance that are kind of, I can only donate so much, but sometimes it's not even just financial. There's times where you really want to do something for somebody and you can't, and you see them struggling. And so it's hard. I mean, it's really hard. I got into all of these professions because I want to help people, and I've been able to do it, but there's times when you just can't. And so that's difficult. It really, I'm not ashamed to say in my 40 years, literally, of public service, I have shed many tears. I have been upset, maybe with some of my actions or things I could have done. So that's the tough stuff. You can't unring a bell, but you can always try and do better the next time,
So the next 2 years. What are maybe 2 to 3 initiatives, or even just maybe one, that you're really hoping to see to come to fruition?
Well, of course, we have the importance of the infrastructure that we've talked about with the stuff that's not exciting.
Yeah.
But, we need that maintains the quality of life for your community. Make sure you've got clean water and sewers, everything's working. And we continue to hire the very best. And so I feel really good about making sure, because we've got some people leaving that are in key leadership positions, making sure that we have the right people in place like we've had that can follow in their footsteps and provide the services for our people. From a development standpoint, of course, we have the sports complex where we're going to be starting construction in May or June on the indoor facility. It's 140,000 square feet, but there are 14 acres of commercial out there. And to everyone's astonishment, including our broker, we've been able to negotiate the sale of the parcels of those with 2 dual brand hotels that are coming in, some really nice restaurants. And what that does is there's 70 acres across the street that's in the village that will bring that same type of commercial. Now that's important for 2 reasons. And I really want to stay on top of that because we were hell bent on keeping our industrial west of Gauger Road.
Sure.
There's a pocket off Schoolhouse and stuff, but we don't want it creeping beyond. And if you go up and down 355, that's what you primarily see. And so with that hospital there, and our town deserves better, I want to see this develop. It's going to take 4 or 5 years, but I really want to see this develop to where we get all the benefit. Our people get the sales tax, the hotel tax. They get to be able to go up there and eat and watch their kids play baseball. But because it's right off 355, or softball or lacrosse or soccer, whoever the hell I just offended. But, excuse me, that traffic is not screwing up our community. So we can keep, as you and I talked about when you were on the other side of this, our small town feel, doing great things like that. I, too, want to continue to see our assets grow, our children's museum and all the events we do for families, and just make sure that people can have pride in their community. I'm a homer for New Lenox. I hear that all the time. Oh, you're just a homer for New Lenox. Yeah, I am. But I want the people who live here to have pride in their community. When I see somebody say they're disappointed or whatever, I'm like, okay, let's hear about it.
Sure.
If there's a fair criticism, how can we make it better? If some jerk off just goes on and says, this fucking town, whatever, like, then get out of here. Then get out. Or you come take my job and do it better. You know what I mean? So I'm a homer for this town, and I have this vision that is shared by our board and staff that we really can balance this. We can bring some quality, and we have some, but some additional quality eating establishments and job opportunities for people, and still have a nice place for our families to bring their kids down or grandkids down and congregate and do things. So there's a couple other parcels of land that I'm looking at that I want to expand that portion of it, the family portion of it, not just a big commercial development, but there are some parcels of land that I'm looking at now that this is the first time the administrator and staff will hear this, but that where we can expand that family feel of our town. And so that'll be the next project. Simultaneously as that's happening, I want to keep doing that. So that's that. And I want to get back to the property tax rebate. That's important to me. I know we're not obligated to do it, but as I explained to the people, we could give you the money and then go borrow it and you're paying interest on that money. But it is something that I like to do. We did it for a decade and a half. And so once we get that commercial coming and that sales tax coming, then we can go back to giving the people their money back, giving them the small town charm, giving them the great amenities, having it all. And we really can have it all here. And that's ambitious, but that's the goal. And I will stay as long as the people will have me and as long as they believe in that vision.
Well, and the whole thought behind the sports complex too, not only to have an amazing amenity for travel sports and things, but to attract those businesses, because you had all of this land right off 355 that's not being utilized.
It was only warehouses. The only thing that people were coming here for was warehouses.
So now,
and we said we don't want that. So you're right.
It was an amazing move.
What it also does, you're right, is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, our local teams. I love that our soccer club is a sponsor and they're up there, and our local football teams are practicing up there, and our baseball and softball teams. So our kids are getting the benefit of these world-class fields in their hometown. That's what I want. I want everyone who lives here to be a homer for New Lenox. I do. And that's not to say, don't question. Question. Ask a question, disagree, have an opinion, state it, but be proud.
Yeah.
You can say, I love my town, I just wish we did this. But when you shit on our town, then get lost.
You're not bringing any value.
There's no quality. You're just looking for attention, I think.
The marketing side of me is imagining shirts that say, I'm a homer for New Lenox.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm sure Homer Glenn would love that, but... you know what? We may annex them anyway, so there you go. That's not true. But
not true.
Well, we'll see. All right, anyway, go ahead.
All right, so when you finally get time off, what are you doing? And I'm not talking when you retire, but when you take some time off, what does Tim do for fun when he's not Mayor Baldermann?
I do take time off. I do. I've got 8 grandkids, 6 of whom live in Illinois. I go to their basketball games and their softball games and their baseball games and their birthday party. I mean, I love being with my grandkids. It's important to me. I have a place in New York, as everyone knows. I break my balls. Oh, you're in New York. I was so what if I had a place in Florida or Michigan? That would be better. I mean, I love New York because anything you can imagine is there.
Yeah.
Any entertainment, any sports, any restaurant. I've got a place right by Central Park, so every morning when I'm there, I do the 6-mile loop around Central Park, and it's beautiful. And there's 8 million people, and nobody bothers you. Anyone that's idea of New York is what they see on the news is really missing out.
Yeah.
I've had friends come and stay with me there and like, wow, I didn't expect this.
Yeah. Subways
are safe. Everything. I mean, it's just good. I love New York, and it's an hour and 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
So I don't get out there as often as I would like to, but I'll take a long weekend there. I'll take a Christmas break there, or I'll take a spring break there. But I really do enjoy being there and not having to be anyone other than one of 8 million people walking around going to a concert or going to a restaurant or whatever.
You're
it's
just
awesome.
you.
Me. I love it. Love it.
All right, we've got to wrap up. So as we wrap up, I'm going to do a little rapid fire round.
Here we go. All right.
So quick answers.
That's
First thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, well, I can't help but
no elaboration.
Go ahead.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Best pizza in New Lenox.
Okay, you can't do that. I'm the mayor.
All right, what's your favorite pizza place outside of New Lenox?
Outside of New Lenox? Palermo's on 95th.
Okay. If you weren't mayor, what would you be doing right now?
Right this minute?
This second.
Honestly, I'd be sitting on my couch in my boxer shorts and T-shirt watching the news. That's what I'd be doing.
Biggest pet peeve?
People that are full of shit. I can't. Just be honest and be blunt and honest. But like you said, you don't have to be cruel. Just don't be full of crap.
Last show you binge watched?
Oh. See, this is, again, part of my disorder. I mean, I am now in the process of binge watching Curb Your Enthusiasm again for like the 5th time. I've done The Sopranos, Entourage, Curb Your Enthusiasm. I have binge watched them multiple times over and over. Yeah.
If you could have dinner with anyone, living or dead, who and why?
Oh. You want me to pick like a favorite kid or grandkid? So can we say outside of family?
Oh, it's got to be outside of family.
Outside of family. If I could... You know what, honestly? It'd be my best buddy, Scott Hawkins, in Australia. Aww. I miss him. I love him. We talk frequently. I don't need a celebrity, anybody. That's my buddy that I miss. Aww. We've been friends for 42 years, and we still communicate almost daily, but that would be my guy.
That's awesome. I hope he watches this.
You know what? He will. He'll say, you're a real jerk off. I mean, he will. But yeah, he's my buddy.
One word to describe New Lenox.
Extraordinary. Stupid. Compassionate.
Favorite vacation spot?
Outside of New York, and outside of Australia, which is a second home, I absolutely love Rome. Love Rome. Yeah.
If you could pass one law with a snap of your fingers, what would it be?
Federal law, state law,
Yeah,
it doesn't
law.
Any law that I could pass. You know what? And I'll say this. I would get rid of the primary process. And the reason I say that is because then you can have normal people running and then they can pass a whole host. It's like if you had one wish, I want a million wishes.
Sure.
That's my law. Get rid of that primary process, let normal people run, and then what would happen is the 60-70% that don't come out in a primary would feel like they have someone to vote for. Then we could have a lot of middle of the road good people that have maybe they have a bend to the right, maybe they have a bend to the left, whatever, but they'd all work together and they could pass a whole host of common sense laws, most of which don't exist now.
It's good. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Believe it or not, Mustang Sally.
Ah. Yeah. You've met a lot of famous people.
I have.
Who stuck out to you the most?
Oh man, who stuck out to me the most in a positive way?
Either one.
I have been fortunate to meet a lot of famous people. The one who probably stuck out to me the most for a number of reasons was probably Keanu Reeves. I did security for him, and
Cool.
we'll leave it at that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And final one, early career advice that you'd give your younger self.
Well, early career advice. I think I've had a great career. I've had 3 great careers. I probably would not change much of what I've done in there. I wish I had a better understanding of why I was who I was, and I think that my coping skills and things that I would have done would have been differently, which probably would have had a positive impact, not on my career, because my career has been great,
Sure.
but probably on the people that are most important to me. I probably could have done better.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mayor Baldermann, this has been fantastic. So thank you so
I
much for
appreciate
being
you.
completely honest, transparent, all of the things. So before we let you go, how can people connect with you, get involved, or share ideas?
Oh, they love to
about New
tag me.
Lenox?
Love to tag me on Facebook. And the funny thing is, I really don't mind being tagged on Facebook, even if it's for stupid stuff. It doesn't really bother me. I have an amazing assistant in Megan Applegate. It's really the best way to go through her. She obviously is here quite a bit. She's incredible to me. I would say contact her. Half the town has my cell phone number, quite honestly, and and my parents at the school have it. I love being accessible.
Yeah.
I really do. I work for the people. I want to say this because I have said this publicly. I am a public servant. I work for you, but I'm not your doormat. You don't get to berate me or give me shit and expect not to get it back from me because I work for you. I do work for you, and I'm happy to work for you. But you're going to treat me with respect, and if you don't, then don't be upset when you get something back. Because I've had people say to me, "Oh, you're the mayor. You can't talk like that." I'm like, really? Watch me, because you get what you give.
Right.
So I love people reaching out. I had Daisy Troop here last night. I love the Scouts come. I really love being with the people of this town. I do.
And it
people
shows.
They're so kind to me. I have to tell you, I don't mind that people know who I am when I'm in town, because they really are kind and they're nice. And I just love this community. I wouldn't do it if I did not love this town, and I do love New Lenox.
Yeah. Well, New Lenox is lucky to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So any final words of wisdom, shameless plugs that you want to leave our listeners with?
You know what? It's what I try to teach my school kids, what I've tried to teach my kids, what I try to live by myself, and I don't always succeed at. But be kind, be compassionate. If you make a mistake, own it. And that's it. If we're all just a little nicer to each other, maybe get off social media. If we were all just a little nicer to each other and not be following the words of people who are paid to divide us. I don't care what side of the aisle on. They are paid to divide us. Tune that out. And if you talk to people who maybe have a completely different viewpoint than you'll see they're not that much different, because every person wants the same thing. They want to be happy. They want to be healthy. They want a good quality of life. They want their family to be safe. That's not Republican, Democrat, or any other bullshit. That's humanity. So let's be a little more human to each other. That's it.
Well, I've certainly learned a whole lot today, whether it was about government or just words of wisdom and how to live your life. So,
well, I don't know. I don't know that I need to be the role model for that, but I'm happy with my life.
Yeah. So that's our show. Thanks again, Mayor, for sitting in the hot seat and answer those tough questions, as well as you can dish them out too. So
thank you.
Until next time, stay honest, stay curious, and keep asking real questions.